The sun sank low behind the jagged cliffs. A cold wind whispered through the ancient forest. Leaves rustled like soft whispers of forgotten secrets. Marcus tightened his grip on the leather map. The map was old, brittle, and smeared with time. It promised a treasure lost for centuries. The path ahead was narrow and overgrown. Twisting roots clawed at his boots with every step. A strange, metallic scent hung in the air. It made his stomach churn. He stopped. A shadow moved in the corner of his eye. No sound, only the shifting of leaves. He breathed slowly, trying to steady the rising panic. Every step felt heavier than the last. The map led him to a cavern hidden behind thick vines. The entrance yawned wide and dark. A cold dampness rolled from within, brushing his skin. It smelled of earth, decay, and something faintly sweet. Marcus shivered, his heartbeat echoing in his ears. He lit a lantern. The flickering light revealed walls etched with strange symbols. Each symbol seemed to watch him, shifting with the flame. He traced them with a trembling finger. The ground beneath him gave a soft creak. He froze. A sudden gust extinguished the lantern. Darkness swallowed him entirely. His heart thudded in the silent void. He felt the rough stone beneath his hands. A cold drip landed on his shoulder. Something was moving in the shadows. He could hear faint breathing, but he was alone. He struck the lantern again. Light revealed a narrow passage descending deeper. The air grew thick and damp. A low, distant rumble vibrated through the stone. Marcus could not tell if it was the wind or something else. At the end of the passage, a heavy wooden chest sat under a stone arch. It was covered in moss and cobwebs. He approached slowly. Every step seemed to echo in the cavern. The chest pulsed with an eerie presence. It felt alive. Marcus reached for the lid. The moment his fingers brushed the wood, a piercing scream filled the cavern. It was neither human nor animal. It rattled his bones. He stumbled back, heart racing, lantern trembling. The chest lid began to move on its own. Slowly, almost deliberately, a cold, dark fog spilled out, curling around his legs. It carried whispers, distant voices of lost souls. Marcus could not move. Inside the chest, he glimpsed the treasure. Gold coins stacked like frozen fire. Jewels that glimmered with unnatural light. And a small, intricately carved idol. Its eyes seemed to follow him, burning with an inner flame. Marcus felt a pull, magnetic and terrifying. Every instinct screamed to flee. But something compelled him forward. He lifted the idol. The cavern shuddered violently. Dust rained from the ceiling. A deafening roar filled the air. The ground cracked beneath him. Dark shapes swirled in the fog. He realized the treasure was not meant to be found. Marcus clutched the idol. A cold hand seemed to grip his wrist. A voice hissed in his ear, chilling and ancient. "You should have left it buried." The fog thickened. The chest slammed shut with a thunderous finality. The passage began to collapse. Rocks tumbled and sparks flew as the walls convulsed. Marcus ran blindly. The air was thick, choking. Every sound was magnified, echoing like a warning. He could hear whispers, laughter, and cries all around him. A flash of light revealed the cavern mouth. He sprinted toward it, lungs burning. Branches tore at his clothes, roots tripped his feet. The wind cut his face like shards of glass. He emerged into the forest, panting and bleeding. The idol still clutched in his hand, its eyes glowing faintly. The forest was silent again, as if nothing had happened. But Marcus knew the treasure had a will of its own. Something followed him, unseen but undeniable. Its presence weighed on his shoulders and in his mind. He turned, expecting to see a shadow, a figure, a warning. The forest was empty, but the whispers had begun again. Marcus stumbled through the forest, the idol heavy in his hands. Its eyes glimmered in the moonlight, pulsing as if alive. The whispers from the cavern had followed him, soft and insistent. He could feel them crawling along his spine, wrapping around his thoughts. Branches snapped underfoot. A distant howl tore through the trees, low and mournful. He glanced back. The forest seemed empty, yet the shadows shifted unnaturally. Something moved just beyond the reach of the lantern's light. It was not human. Marcus's breathing was ragged. The wind whispered through the trees like 1,000 voices speaking at once. He tried to tell himself it was his imagination. But the shadows grew bolder. They flickered and coalesced, forming shapes that crouched and slithered between the trunks. He ran. feet pounding against roots and soil, each step sending shivers through his body. The idol burned in his grip, almost hot, almost alive. He wanted to drop it, but some invisible force held his hands tight around it. It was not an object you could simply abandon. Hours seemed to pass, yet the forest remained the same. Night stretched endlessly, thick and suffocating. Marcus's throat was dry, his legs burned, and the whispers grew louder, more insistent, calling his name in tones he could not recognize. Marcus, Marcus, return. A clearing opened before him. The moonlight illuminated a circle of stones, weathered and etched with symbols similar to the ones in the cavern. In the center, a shallow pit emitted a faint, black mist. Marcus froze. Something about the pit felt wrong, as if it were breathing. The whispers intensified, circling his mind like a predator closing in. The ground beneath him trembled. He looked down. Footprints appeared in the soil, though no one was there. They led directly to the pit. He did not want to follow, but the idol tugged him forward. It was not conscious thought, it was instinct. Something inside him demanded that he approach. The air grew colder. Frost formed on the edges of the stone circle, crackling under the weight of the unnatural chill. Marcus reached the pit. The mist rose, thick and stinking of iron and decay. Shapes formed within it, faces twisted in agony, mouths open in silent screams. He could hear their voices clearly now, pleading and threatening at once. The idol pulsed violently in his hands. Its carved eyes glowed red, burning brighter with each heartbeat. Marcus realized the truth. This was no ordinary treasure. It was a prison, a cage for spirits older than time itself. He wanted to throw the idol into the pit, but the moment he attempted to release it, the mist surged like a wave, wrapping around his arms. It was heavy, suffocating, and impossible to resist. The whispers became screams. They clawed at his mind. They filled him with visions of drowning in darkness, lost for eternity. Marcus stumbled backward, heart hammering. The idol's glow became blinding. He could see the faces in the mist more clearly now, writhing and pleading. Then the ground beneath him cracked. Rocks erupted from the soil, and the stone circle seemed to twist unnaturally. A deep rumble shook the forest. The air vibrated with a low, terrible sound, like the roar of a creature too vast to comprehend. The idol tore from his hands, levitating above the pit. A vortex of black mist spiraled around it, pulling at everything in the clearing. Marcus tried to run, but the forest had changed. Paths he had used vanished. Roots grabbed at his ankles. Shadows coiled around his legs like living ropes. He fell to the ground, gasping. The idol hovered higher, surrounded by the screaming spirits. The air was thick with the smell of sulfur and decay. Then a voice cut through the chaos, loud and commanding. "You have disturbed what should never be found." The ground split beneath him. Marcus slid toward the pit, hands scrabbling at the earth. The idol glowed with a brilliance that burned his eyes. Faces in the mist screamed louder, their voices mingling with the command. A sensation like freezing fire shot through his chest. Marcus reached out. Something pulled him upward just as he was about to fall. He felt invisible hands lift him and throw him backward. The forest snapped back to normal as if the clearing had never existed. The idol dropped onto the ground in front of him, unmoving now. Its glow faded to a faint, ominous red. Marcus lay on the forest floor, chest heaving. The whispers lingered, faint now but still present. He realized he could not leave the idol behind. It would call to him again. And the spirits, the ancient guardians of the treasure, would not rest until it was returned. Every instinct told him to flee, yet his curiosity was insatiable. He crawled forward and touched the idol again. A jolt of energy surged through him, filling his mind with visions of lands lost to time. Gold beyond imagining, cities buried beneath sand, and oceans hiding secrets older than history itself. Marcus understood the cost. The treasure was alive. It demanded attention. It demanded possession. And it demanded sacrifice. Night deepened. The forest around him seemed to hold its breath. Every shadow seemed to watch, waiting. Marcus held the idol close. He could hear the faint, rhythmic heartbeat of the treasure, synchronized with his own. He felt a strange exhilaration mixed with terror. Somewhere in the distance, a wolf howled. The sound was close now, impossibly close, as if the forest itself were alive. The whispers returned, stronger, insistent. Marcus realized he was not alone. He was never alone. The lost treasure had found him, and it would not let him go. He rose to his feet, feeling the weight of destiny pressing down. Every step forward seemed guided, compelled by forces he did not understand. The forest, the shadows, the idol, the spirits, all were connected. And Marcus knew one thing with terrifying clarity. He had crossed a line from which there was no return. The ground trembled again. A deep, resonant hum filled the air, vibrating in his bones. The idol pulsed, brighter than ever. Marcus's breath caught in his throat. The trees around him twisted unnaturally. The shadows merged, forming shapes that were neither human nor animal. They whispered, they screamed, and they beckoned. Marcus stepped forward, heart hammering. The air thickened, oppressive and choking. Every nerve in his body screamed for him to stop, yet he could not. The treasure's pull was irresistible. The spirit's eyes followed him, filled with anger, sorrow, and warning. He reached the center of the clearing, and the ground beneath him gave way. He fell into darkness. Marcus fell through the darkness, the world around him dissolving into cold nothingness. He landed hard on a stone floor, gasping, the idol still clutched in his hands. The air was thick and silent. No whispers, no shadows, only a heavy stillness that pressed against his chest. He looked around. He was in a vast chamber, carved entirely from black stone. The walls glimmered faintly, as if embedded with tiny stars. The ceiling arched high above, disappearing into darkness. In the center, a shallow pool of water reflected a strange, flickering light. The idol pulsed gently in his hands. Its glow was calm now, almost serene. Marcus realized the spirits had followed him here, but they were not hostile anymore. They circled above the pool, their forms shimmering like liquid silver. Their whispers had softened into a gentle murmur, as if guiding rather than threatening. A voice echoed, deep and resonant, from the pool itself. You have proven yourself brave, yet wise enough to survive. Marcus's hands shook. He did not move, waiting for what was coming next. The water rippled, and a vision appeared. He saw the treasure's history. How greed had doomed those who sought it blindly. How the spirits had guarded it for centuries, waiting for someone who could respect its power. How it was never meant to enrich, but to teach. Marcus understood. The idol was not gold or jewels. It was a key, a lesson, a burden. He had survived because he had faced fear, darkness, and the unknown. He had not let greed consume him. With a deep breath, he placed the idol gently into the pool. The water shimmered and rose, lifting the treasure. The glow expanded, filling the chamber with a warm, gentle light. The spirits circled it one last time, nodding as if granting him permission to leave. Marcus stepped back. The pool sank slowly, disappearing into the stone floor. The chamber walls began to dissolve into shadow, and he felt a light breeze on his face. He was standing once again at the forest clearing, the moon shining above. The idol was gone. The whispers were gone too. Only silence remained, calm and welcoming. Marcus looked at the forest around him. The night felt alive but safe. He realized he had changed. The treasure had not taken him, it had tested him. And he had survived, wiser and stronger. He turned and walked away from the clearing. The forest no longer seemed threatening. He carried with him a memory of the lost treasure, not of gold, not of jewels, but of courage, wisdom, and the weight of choices. Somewhere behind him, deep in the earth, the treasure waited, patient and eternal. And Marcus knew that he had been part of something far greater than himself. He would never forget the lost treasure, nor the lessons it had demanded. And the forest remained silent, watching, waiting for the next seeker brave enough to find it.